everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're checking this out. This is Whiskey Wednesday Weekly with Ken Boone. This week I've got an amazing guest, a friend of mine from, it's been a while, I think at least 10 or 12 years. I've known John Tompkins through Little League, no less. But to be honest, I didn't know John's story, not to this extreme. And one of the reasons why he's on is, first of all, he's a extreme lover of Irish whiskey. Actually pretty intelligent and knows a lot about it, and really appreciates the different flavors and the different things it brings out. So it's nice to have a guest that knows a little bit about the whiskey on here. Secondly, he also has a great story of where he's from, what he's about, the story and the challenges that he's gone through fairly recently, not to mention just as growing up as a kid here in San Diego. But I'll let him tell that story, and we'll just kind of go through the motions, and hopefully you guys enjoy this interview with him. Welcome, John Tompkins. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
No problem, buddy. It's been a while since we've seen each other in face, not just because of the pandemic, but he did move away from where we lived in Valley Center. I don't know, what was that, 4 or 5 years ago?
No, 2012.
Jeez, time flies. Now, I think we've seen each other in passing because we did have lunch or something a couple times. He works down where near me, but nonetheless, it's more Facebook and texting and things like that. So it's really cool to hear his story and him kind of dig into a little bit about. So with that being said, we'll get right into it. First of all, John is not originally born and raised in San Diego, but pretty close to it, right?
Pretty close to it. I was born in the Philippines.
Okay.
We came to San Diego when I was 4 years old.
Okay.
And grew up in National City.
Nice. Okay. If you guys don't know, that's south of downtown San Diego. So that being said, I think we should probably start off with a drink first.
Sure.
Just to kind of lighten the mood. So John's going to kind of talk a little bit about more of the shots on this because this is his collection. He has a lot more, but obviously we like to stay with 6. So go ahead and start us off with what you want to start us off with.
Sure. So what we got here is a collection of Irish whiskeys. You're going to see a bunch of different varieties. The one I want to start with first is probably going to be the Powers 3 Swallows.
Okay.
And the reason being is because that's a triple distilled single pot still.
Okay.
And we'll do a couple of triple distilled single pot stills, and then we'll go into the regular single pot stills. Go to the red breast, and then work our way up in quality through the Jameson 18, and finish off with the Middleton Very Rare.
There you go. I like that. We'll have some certain things that we're not used to having on here. That is for sure. So I'm going to start light. I love Irish whiskey. I do have like 3 or 4, but certainly none of the collection of yours. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to try these because normally, that does smell good.
Yeah. So you should get some hints of vanilla and fruitiness at the end.
That is good.
One of the more complex entry level to mid level. You can get a bottle of Powers for around $60 to $70.
Wow.
Which I consider to be a
middle of the road.
Middle of the road.
Right.
It's not your $20, $30 bottle of Jameson,
right,
or Tullamore Dew.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, which is ones I got because I don't know any better when I was buying Irish whiskey. I'm like Jameson, Tullamore Dew.
There's nothing wrong with those. Those are great daily drinkers.
This is very good. Yeah.
When you want to step it up a little bit, right, and you want to impress your friends, and you start getting into Powers and different spot whiskeys. Interesting story about Irish whiskey I discovered a few years ago. I believe it was in the 90s, the Irish government put a heavy tax on barley.
Oh, okay.
It might have been earlier than that. Don't quote me on the year.
Right.
But Irish, being the people that they are,
right,
didn't want to pay that tax. So instead of making whiskey out of barley, they found other grains to use, and these are the types of Irish whiskeys that we are tasting now today.
Oh, because of that tax.
Because of that tax.
Wow.
Had they not taxed the Irish
on
distillers on the barley, we wouldn't have these type of expressions today.
Wow. Well, that's pretty cool then. Well, thanks to government for that, right? Yeah. There's a good thing about taxing people when they don't pay, right? After all, right? So that's good. I will say that's pretty smooth. I mean, I'm like no flinch, nothing. That's just tight. That's a really
good.
It's a really good bottle.
A signature of good Irish whiskey. smooth. As you get up into the years of age, they will have a little more bite. You may have to open them up a little bit with some water, or let them air out. You'll see as we get through the bottles here, they become more and more complex.
Oh, okay. And that makes sense. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into whiskey that a lot of people don't realize. There's just a lot of things that do make them complex. So even if the bite's strong, it doesn't mean it's a bad whiskey. If anything, it's, like you said, it's a better whiskey, depending on the style of whiskey you're drinking, right?
And there's no wrong way to drink whiskey.
That's right.
However you like to drink whiskey,
that's the right way. Right. There's no judging in whiskey drinking, right?
Yeah.
So Powers 3 Swallow, that's a good one. I appreciate you bringing that to the table, and we'll get into the next one in about 6 to 7 minutes. So that being said, so you were talking about the Philippines, born, living here in San Diego. So take me through a little bit about maybe just from being 4. I mean, obviously you don't have to go through all that, but
growing up as a foreigner?
Yeah, as a foreigner in that era. I mean, I think you and I are about the same age, right? I'm 49.
Yeah, exactly.
So, we know that times were different, but out here in San Diego and being of Asian descent, right? I don't know what that was like. So how did that work for you?
It was rough.
Oh, really?
When I came to the United States, I didn't speak any English at all.
Really?
None.
Wow.
So that was a challenge.
Okay.
I remember I told this story. People who are friends of mine know this story. When I was in first grade, my English was very limited, and I remember a kid coming up to the table and saying, "Hey, where's the pencil sharpener?" And with my limited vocabulary, I pointed with my pencil to show him where it was. Well, when I pointed, I caught him on the side of the face and I scratched him. He started crying. Teacher came running over and said, "What happened?" He said, "John scratched me," which wasn't a lie.
Right.
But I
couldn't
explain
defend yourself. Yeah.
No, and times were different back then. So she sent me to the principal's office, and I got a paddle.
Right. I remember those days.
Yeah. And, man, talk about frustration. And I understand how certain people get upset when they feel like they can't be heard. Right. It's probably one of the most frustrating things that a person, let alone a kid, could go through, is trying to explain to somebody their story and not being heard. It was devastating as a kid, but it fueled me to take my ESL lessons more serious.
Got it. Yeah.
And I had some great ESL teachers that, as you can tell now, I don't have an accent anymore.
Sure. No, I didn't even know that. I mean, that was pretty interesting to know. And you guys may know, I try not to get too much into the story because I like the expressions to be real. Like you said, we're friends, but we're not I knew that story, from first grade. We sat around and told old memories. So for me, I like learning that about you because 100% would never have guessed that in a million years that you came to this country not knowing any English because you're perfectly speaking now.
And I think what helped me was I went to 2 different elementary schools. So in 4th grade, my father enrolled me into a computer magnet program, and I had to go to a different elementary school. So I got to start new. People didn't know I was that kid that couldn't speak English.
Right.
And that really helped smooth out, I think, my transition when I was younger.
Oh, that's cool.
And pretty much great childhood. You know, Dad was heavily involved in Little League.
Oh, even back then.
Yeah, even back then. That probably
what
explains a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was an umpire too.
Oh, really?
Okay.
So
UIC also.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. So I kind of felt it was my duty to pay it back. Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then everything was good.
Okay, cool. Now, did you attend college?
San Diego State. I got my professional certification in Lean Enterprise.
Okay, and what is Lean Enterprise?
It's a Six Sigma philosophy where Six Sigma tries to improve the delta in the performance of manufacturing.
Okay.
Lean Enterprise focuses more on eliminating waste in a process.
Huh.
So
weird. Now, did you get out of school and work where you're at now?
No, I got my degree while I was at school.
Oh, okay.
I mean, working at Solar.
Oh, okay.
I was in the Navy for 6 years.
That's right. We did serve together. That's right.
That's right.
That's right. I remember that part.
Yeah.
Not together, but in the same time frame. Yeah.
Yeah,
and what did you do?
I was a gas turbine electronics technician.
So I went in as I had a school for gas turbine, but I ended up not waiting for it because I was in the engine room on a carrier for 18 months, and I said I got to get out of here. So I didn't. So you went to the gas turbine, and what did you say the gas turbine? What side of it?
Electronics.
Electronics. Okay, so you were not you were more the electrical side.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how the Navy does that because they send the mechanics and the electronics technicians to the same platform for 6 months.
Wow.
And then after 6 months, they send the mechanics to the fleet, and then the rest of us stay for electrical school.
Wow.
So
okay.
My school was about 18 months long.
Right. They usually have that. And now, did you go into and then go to school, or did you get right out of boot camp? Did you get to school?
Which school? The
your first
GSC school?
Yeah.
It was right after.
Okay, because mine was like I was like delayed or something like that, where you had to serve time and then go to school, and that's where I struggled.
Yeah.
My life would have been so different. I mean, probably in a bad way, not because that career, but I wouldn't have been met the wife, and all that stuff.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
wild
It happened like it was supposed to.
It's wild how that stuff takes channels, and you're thinking at the time, you're like, am I doing the right thing? And sure enough, here we are, right? It's pretty cool. So you ended up now, since then though, after those 6 years, so you served and got your degree, or because
I went many years just taking classes here and there.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't until I was already a
student.
manager at Solar Turbines. I think I was like 18 years out of into my 24-year career.
Oh, okay. That you got your degree.
Yeah.
Got it. So you were working there, getting your degree. But
I wasn't serious about it.
Yeah. It sounds
I was happy with what I was doing. Then I took my first supervisor job, and they were like, "All right, if you want to move up from here, it's time for you to get your education." And I was like, "Darn it, okay."
Yeah, I guess I have to. Yeah.
I wasn't a very studious person.
Oh man, you and I'm proud of you for even sticking it out that long. Well, before we get to the next part, I would like to try the next Irish whiskey.
Okay. I think we should start with the next one. We should use the Green Spot.
Now I'm excited about that one. I really am because I've only heard of it a lot. I've never actually tasted it, but I know it's one of the better ones. I mean, obviously it's a good name anyway. How about that?
Absolutely. And this expression here is about a mid-$70 bottle. What I love about it is you get a lot of green apple notes, which I'm a huge fan of, and a lot of people kind of give me that little stink eye and say, "Really, green apple?"
Yeah.
Or wait till you try it.
Me too. I'm not a huge green apple. I mean, I'll drink it and I'll eat it, but I mean, it's weird that that's going to come out in whiskey.
Right. Because it's not your normal vanilla or caramel notes that you're used to
for whiskeys. Yeah.
For whiskeys, but this one is special that way.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Oh, I can smell the green apple a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah, it has that that nose to it.
That's good. You're excited. Dude, you're driving. You know what? You're kind of making me a little upset because now I'm gonna have to start stocking up on Irish whiskey. Seriously, this is
how I became a fan. Shout out to my friend Brian, who gave me my first taste of Nappague Castle, which is if you find it, I highly recommend it. I'm out of it right now because I drink it all the time.
Well, you'll have to shoot me a text on what you just said because that was a mouthful.
Yeah, and that one has a lot of caramel notes, which I love. And
it's unreal.
And it got me on my journey through Irish whiskey, and I haven't.
Now, do you drink any other whiskeys? I'm just curious. Like, do you have any other like bourbons or ryes or anything?
I have some Old Forester always on hand for when I make some old fashions and stuff.
But the majority is all Irish, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I can't say that so far. I mean, they disappoint. I mean, they're both extremely smooth. I didn't even realize it. I mean, like I said, I've had a couple of probably the lower end ones, but these are insane.
Yeah, if you're going with what I call a young expression, meaning 8 years aged and lower, they're not going to be as smooth as this. Which it doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means you're going to have to put ice or water. And I found the trick to be is get an eyedropper. And just start counting drops of water and take little sips until you get the flavor that you're looking for. And it will open up a whole new world of whiskeys that you thought, oh man, this is horrible. No, not really. You just need to
open it up a little bit. I love it. Man, the education on the Irish whiskey tonight alone is good. So let's go into Okay, so you've talked a little bit about your story. I mean, you know, like I said, the childhood was great. Not a lot of the English learning is a great thing. Like I didn't realize that. Plus, that's a huge lesson itself, right? Especially in today's world. I know my boys did SSL. Oh, well, that was their first language, but they, you know, were learning Spanish, and that's kind of a huge part of life. Whether it's them learning our language or us learning their language, whether it's you know,
Tagalog.
Okay, that's what you spoke. Okay, so let's get into a little bit about. You have kids, right?
Yeah,
you had a couple kids in there.
Yeah, my first marriage. I was blessed with two great boys. They played Little League with your boys.
Right.
You know them well. And I got remarried in 2014.
Okay.
And I have 3 stepchildren as well that I love just like my own.
Unreal. So I love the part, you know, the boys are super talented, and I think one of them, the youngest one, is extremely still deep into baseball, correct?
It's his passion.
Okay. And he is in 10th grade?
9th grade.
Oh, okay, I was close. I was trying to do the math earlier, and I'm like, I'm going to get it right probably. I was going to say 9th, but I was like, I'll give him the benefit. He's a big kid.
He's a big boy.
So I'll, but he's a catcher, right?
He's a catcher.
And he also pitches a little bit, but his goal or his passion.
He was a pitcher.
Okay.
His high school coach put a kibosh on that.
Really?
He made varsity as a freshman, so his high school coach called his travel ball coach and said, he's my catcher, he's no longer a pitcher.
They have the right to do that, right? As high school, if you want to make the team, right?
And then, we thought that was funny, but you know, because his travel ball coach got his butt chewed a little bit.
He did. I like it, but I like the fact that, you know, he always posts stories about him. He's always working hard. He's got a great work ethic. Yeah. And then your oldest one, is he out of college yet, or is he?
No, he's still at Palomar. He should have transferred already. His career counselor wanted him to take some more upper level math classes.
Okay.
Because he wants to get into UCSD, into the computer programming program, and it's very hard to get in. So he felt if he took some 300 and 400 level calculus classes, that would help his chances to get in. So
just those words alone, 300 or 400 calculus, hurt my brain. I don't even know what that
100 hurt my brain.
Algebra 2 probably hurts my brain at this point. I always am amazed how some of these kids, you know, get through these schools. It's unreal. So yeah, you got 2 kids. They're kicking ass. They're you know, definitely growing and doing well in baseball, especially. Is Jordan's goal to be in the pros or make the pros or?
No, his goal is just to play college ball.
Okay.
He is focused on a career in robotics. And he wants to get into the college that he wants to go to.
But by using baseball as the vehicle.
Using baseball as the vehicle.
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, if it happened, it happened. But ultimately, his goal is to be in robotics and just use get a scholarship kind of thing, or at least some kind of assistance to get into a good school for that. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Good goals. Good goals. You must be proud. So let's take the next step, and not until whiskey. So I didn't realize this, but you know, John, not that long ago, had, I guess, some revelations, right? Some health challenges and things like that. That not that long ago. We're talking less than 2 years ago. That caused him to do some research. So we'll get into the health challenges for a couple seconds. You had mentioned it wasn't like a big deal at first. You know, you were just kind of doing some stuff, and then we'll take
prompted the conversation.
Right, and then we'll take another whiskey tasting, and then we'll get deep into you know, the real meat. Okay. So go ahead and tell us a little bit what happened in 2019 that kind of made you think I need to look into my family history a little bit more.
Yeah, so I had a little health scare. It wasn't nothing too serious. It was a little diverticulitis. It's a kidney stone. Yeah. It put me in the hospital though. But it prompted the conversation between me and my wife. And she presented me with the idea of getting a DNA test, you know, not to find my ethnicity or find out where my ancestors came from or anything like that. It was to see if we can get some information on what I may be genetically dispositioned to as far as certain diseases, so I would have something to pass on to my kids. And the reason why I say that is because I found out in 2001, after my mom passed, that the father who raised me wasn't my biological father.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was curious when you found that out. Okay.
And it was something that changed my whole life. My mother had went into the hospital. She had pneumonia, but she had some complications from it because she had asthma and she wasn't able to survive. So, of course, everybody was distraught, especially my father. And I took it upon myself to help him with some of the insurance paperwork and get all that stuff. So I was going through his files, and when I was looking for insurance paperwork, I found my adoption papers.
And you were 30 about this time. You said 19 years ago,
2001,
roughly. Yeah. Okay.
And it felt like I lost my father and my mother at the same time.
Really?
You know what I mean? Knowing that this man who raised me my whole life, that I thought was my father, actually wasn't my biological father.
Well, I want to take a pause because you said, you know what I mean. I don't.
Yeah.
And I'm making sure you understand.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to put myself in that category because I'm getting a little welled up. Like when you said that, like my buddy, who's exactly our age, found out one time that he wasn't, his father was, and it didn't he didn't get upset at his father or the one who raised him.
Not at all.
It was just like he went through this. So him describing that just kind of just took me back to when he was a kid. I think he was about 14 or 16, somewhere there when he found out.
Well, let me tell you a little something about that. I had no ill will towards my father.
Sure.
And so much so that I didn't even mention it for 8 years that I knew.
Really?
I just
so you found out, held it, and then wow, okay.
And there's something to be said about a man who raises a kid as his own when he doesn't have to.
Sure.
It took me a while to come up to that conclusion.
Yeah. Right, because at first you don't think of that, right?
No, and the reason why I just kept it to myself was because as far as I was concerned, he was my dad.
Sure.
He raised me.
And he is your father.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was your dad.
Still is.
Yep, still to this day.
To this day.
Yeah.
So, to emphasize how I felt though when I found that out, it's if you ever lost somebody,
that had happened.
you know that weight that you feel in your heart, right? To have it back to back like that,
right.
That's how I felt.
Sure,
like
you were saying that. You felt like you lost,
it caused me to put my health aside, where I was playing a lot of softball and just very active and going fishing, mountain biking, stuff like that. I went to a depression for a long time, gained a lot of weight, and that didn't help things,
Yeah.
And it wasn't until my grandfather passed away and we had a little disagreement in the family, and we were talking about how important it was for us to be honest with each other.
Right.
So I took that opportunity.
Oh, that was when you came out with it, huh?
And it was a big sigh of relief, I think. For me, I know, I think it was for my father too. And the funny part is, it brought us closer.
Yeah. Sure.
Because he always wanted to tell me.
Sure, yeah.
He just couldn't. He made a promise to my mother that
he wouldn't. Yeah.
But there was always something growing up though that had a little clue.
Yeah.
Because their anniversary date was after I was born.
Oh, okay.
But as a kid, you make up things in your head to justify it. He was probably Vietnam or something.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, you say that because you're like, okay, guys, I'm not I'm not 4 anymore. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's funny. I thought you were gonna say something else, but that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
To go back to your question though about the DNA testing.
Sure.
After I had that scare, I took the test on my wife's advice, and we were originally going to do 23andMe because they're more geared towards the health aspect of DNA testing.
Okay.
I was about to sign up for it, and that day I got a email from Ancenstry with a 50% off coupon. And I was like, you know what, this ain't 23andMe, but $50 is pretty hard to beat for a DNA test.
Sure.
So that's the one I took.
Huh.
And it takes about 6 weeks to get the results. I get the results. I get all the ethnicity stuff.
Yeah, I got that too. Yeah, I mean, I did it. Yeah.
49% Filipino.
Yeah, you're like all these countries. You're like, gee, thanks for that.
Scottish, Irish, all this
right,
stuff.
Yeah. Where we were all kind of descent from, right, at one point. Yeah.
Yeah. One interesting part though was talking to my father who raised me. He had told me that the person who was my biological father, the name that my mother gave him, it was an Italian name, which I was never able to find on the internet.
Huh.
There was nobody with that surname.
Huh.
It doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
And in my DNA testing, there is 1 ounce of Italian in my blood. You know, so I found that interesting. And the next day is what changed my life forever.
Okay. Well, let's pause on that for sure, because I was like, I don't want to get too much over. I want to do the next shot because I'm like drawn into this conversation for sure. Now you said we're going to work a little bit backwards, right? We're going to go from green spot to on the other side.
Yeah. So now we're going to start getting into some of my favorite whiskeys. We're going to go into Redbreast, which is by far probably my favorite
brand
distiller.
Okay.
We're going to try some Redbreast 12.
Okay.
This is the entry level of Redbreast. It's also one of my favorites.
Okay.
And we'll get into the other one next. But they have probably 15 to 16 different
wow. That's a big
expressions that you can
distillery.
try.
That is a lot.
Absolutely. You can get 12-year aged, 15, which I have some of that, some 18,
yeah,
21,
we were going to pull that out. He had
30.
like 18 bottles out here, and I was like, we just need 6. But
If
yeah,
you,
he's
so-
taking it easy on me.
Yeah,
He's doing
exactly.
that.
I want to make sure you get home okay.
Yeah, well, my wife's driving, so that's fine.
So this is a 12-year age one.
Okay.
This one you can get on sale actually for about $50.
Okay.
At Costco
Wow.
or at Bedmo.
Yeah.
It's a very affordable. It is not a entry-level whiskey as far as quality.
Right. It's just they put that price point on it because it's you
Right.
know they're being nice. And I will tell you, I went to Vegas just in August
Mm-hmm.
with some family, just 2 people and another couple, my wife and her sister and brother-in-law. And we went to a whiskey bar. It was open at the time. This is when things just started back open. And they had this tasting, flight or whatever, and on there was Redbreast. And I'm like, my buddy John's been talking to me about it. This is when he was going to get on the show the first time. And I'm like, I got to try this Redbreast, And so I'm like, good Lord, how much do they want? I think it was like $22 for an ounce of Redbreast. I'm like, all right, it was the 18, I think, though.
Yeah, you're
But
going to pay
still-
for that one.
But still, I'm like, come on, like they're definitely making some money on these bottles.
Well, if you were to buy a bottle of 18-year-old Redbreast, you're going to pay about anywhere from $2 to $2.50.
Oh, okay.
Bottle.
So they're not. That's probably about a good price
Yeah.
for a bar.
And it goes up to about $1,000 for a 30-year-old bottle.
Really?
Mhm.
So you got like 10 of those sitting around, right?
No, I don't. That's why it's not sitting in front of us.
I brought this up on the show. When I do these warm shots, it's so smooth. Then when I go home and put it on a cube, sometimes whether it's Irish or certain whiskeys, it completely changes the.
Oh, absolutely.
It's weird. Like, and I got the clearest cubes. I make the clearest cubes. But I'm like, sometimes I think it's just better to have it neat.
Yeah, and to me, it depends on the type of whiskey you're drinking. The older it is, the more complex it is, and the more harsh the whiskey is.
Yeah.
This is a 12-year, which I believe when you're drinking whiskeys, they have a rough point at the beginning, and
Right.
then when they
That's
start
true.
getting towards 12 years old, they start smoothing out, and then once they get past 21 years old, they start getting a little more rough again.
Hence the dollar amount keeps
Yeah.
going up too, right?
Exactly.
This is really good. I mean, seriously, I'm gonna have to get some for my wife because she's a huge.
I
whiskey.
would, if someone were to come up to me, I get asked all the time.
Sure.
Everybody at work knows
Yeah.
I love Irish whiskey, and
Uh-huh.
they ask me what's a good bottle to start off with. I tell them green spot or the red breast 12.
Yeah, because you're right there in that decent dollar range, $50 to $70, and you're not going to overspend. You're not going to be upset either. Like,
no.
Yeah, you're not going to.
And you're going to enjoy it.
That's awesome.
And we're enjoying all these neat today. You'll see the Jameson 18 and the Middleton. It's more complex, but they're probably the smoothest of the more aged expressions that you'll find. We'll get into more of that.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited. I love this stuff. This is why I have the show. Not just to have great stories, but also have great whiskey. I usually have to supply it, so he's saving me a little bit today. I appreciate that. And he's teaching me a ton about Irish whiskey. So, the story is leading towards, the DNA testing, obviously. But for me, before we get into that, like you were talking about the health and trying to find the family tree and stuff. So, you're telling me to bring back the point. You're saying that your mom said that you were Italian. This name was Italian.
My father was Italian.
Right, not your current father. I mean, the one that
my
raised
biological
you.
father.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm saying. She's telling you this, but
no, she told my father.
Oh, okay, gotcha. She told your father, and he didn't know who your biological
he
father.
He never met him.
Got it. Okay, so that's where I was confused. I thought he knew him too. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So moving into that, you're sitting there going, I can't find the surname anywhere that she told both of us, basically.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. And then moving on from there, you decided to do this, the health scare, even though it wasn't a big scare. You then found out through Ancestry. How did you dig into that? Because I struggled. Like I could find like a cousin or something. So walk us through the steps.
Yeah. Like I said, I wasn't looking for relatives.
Sure. You wanted to.
I really wasn't looking for my father.
Right.
Day after I got my Ancestry results, I get an email from Ancestry and it says we have a close DNA match.
Really?
And I was like, whoa. And then when you get news like that, there's like a pit that just falls to your stomach.
Well, for you, for sure. I had like you have a second cousin, and I was like, I reached out to him, and I didn't know him, but I mean, for you, you're like, okay, that's different because I have a dad that I know is out there,
And I thought about opening
because that
up
means
Pandora's
he would have
box.
to be there, right? He would have had to have done it, correct?
Yeah.
Isn't that what?
Well, this is the weird part. So I open up that email, I click on the link of the close match, and there was this very jovial looking man, like Santa Claus. You know? And I remember telling my wife, I said, honey, and she's like, yeah. I go, I'm related to Santa Claus. And she's like, what? And I showed him the picture, and she's like, oh my God, he does look like Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And she's like, are you gonna reach out to him?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, And I thought about it, and it took me a couple days. But eventually, I decided I was gonna email him, and I sent him an email saying, hey, I'm new to this DNA stuff.
Right.
I'm not really sure how this stuff works, but according to Ancestry, we're close relatives. I don't know how. I was born in the Philippines. I don't know who my biological father is.
Right.
And I hit send.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And he replied almost instantly.
Wow.
And then he says, wow. He goes, I would love to help you find your biological father. Can you tell me a little more about yourself? And I said, sure. I was born in 1971. I was born in the Philippines.
That's funny. We're exact same age, yeah.
And he says, oh, I think you're an Ezel. That was his mom's maiden name.
Okay.
So he's thinking, I'm related to one of his cousins who was in the military.
Ah, okay.
So he does some more research, and he's looking at my DNA matches, and he realizes that not only am I related to him through DNA on his mom's side,
okay,
I also have DNA matches on his dad's side.
Oh my gosh.
So that means I'm his brother's kid.
Okay.
And then it dawned on him, holy smokes, my brother was in Vietnam.
Oh my God, so it wasn't him, it was his brother.
Yes.
Wow, like the fact that he, because his brother probably wasn't on Ancestry, but he was, fortunately enough. Wow.
And think about how everything aligned on how that connection happened. I wasn't going to do Ancestry.
Sure.
I was going to do 23andMe.
Right, and who knows what the results would have been.
We wouldn't have been matched up.
Oh, because it doesn't do that, you're saying. That's just more like what you originally shot for, correct?
Correct.
Oh my God. But there was that email that got sent to you on that promo
for
code.
50% off.
Thank God. Even though you do well for yourself, thank God we're both looking for deals.
Yeah,
You can't pass 50% off.
No.
What a wild story.
Yeah, so he was
Did he bring it up, by the way? Oh, did he say, oh my God,
he says, can I call you?
Okay.
And I was all, sure. So I'm driving home. I got Jordan in the car with me, and he calls me, and I pull over in a little shopping mall to take this phone call.
Uh-huh.
And he says, hey, I want to preface this conversation with, regardless of what may happen, I'm your uncle, and I want to have a relationship with you.
Wow.
And I was like, man, what a great guy.
Yeah, just all of a sudden, yeah.
But it triggered a flight response for me.
Oh, man.
You know, and I told him, I'm just like, hey, look, I want you to know that I have a father who raised me, who I love very much, you know, and he will always be my father. Mm-hmm. So, if you think this is going to turn some lives upside down because I didn't know the circumstances of which I was born,
right,
we can keep this between us.
Mm.
And he goes, well, I appreciate you saying that. You know, he goes, it's not like that. It's just that your father's wife has gone through a lot these last 3 months, and I'm just worried about how much to put on her plate. And because she had experienced some personal losses in her life. And
and again, this is your biological father's wife, which you have no idea.
My stepmother.
Yeah, but you're just hearing it because he's saying, I don't necessarily want to open Pandora's box either right now.
Right. So this was November 2019. And
that's 18 months ago. Less than that, really.
Right. And I told him, well, I trust you. I don't know why.
Yeah, I know, right? You're like, I just met you, but Ancenstry said you're related to me, so why not?
I'm going to leave it up to you.
Right.
So I went weeks, I didn't hear anything.
Yeah.
And then it was, I believe, December 20th.
Okay.
I'm sitting in my office and I get a phone call and I look at my phone. I don't recognize this number. Normally I would just...
Yeah, because you think it's spam or something.
But something compelled me, I answered it. And there was a voice on the line that said, can I speak to John? And I said, speaking. He goes, hi, who's your father? Chuck.
He said that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. First of all, you probably want to rip his through the phone for half a second.
So I had a weird reaction. I closed my office door.
Yeah.
I sat down and I was kind of short and rude.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
I said, and I didn't say hi, nice to meet you, anything like that.
Yeah.
I said, how'd you meet my mother? Those were my exact words. And he took it well. I think he was kind of expecting that. So he went on to explain how he met my mom. You know, he said he was on an aircraft carrier.
Okay.
He was on the Ranger.
Oh, he's a Navy guy.
Yeah,
Very cool. Very cool.
And they were on their way to Vietnam. They had pulled into the Philippines for a couple of days before they were heading to Vietnam.
Yeah.
And first day he had duty, so he didn't get a chance to go out.
Sure.
And the second day, his best buddy came back. He said, hey, I met this girl last night, and I'm going to go out with her again tonight. She has a friend. You want to come with us? So that friend happened to be my mother.
Yeah. Wow.
And he told me, you know, that he was very upfront with her. He said, hey, look, I'm going to Vietnam tomorrow. And they went out dancing. They had dinner. And he said, I'm going to Vietnam tomorrow. I know I will never see you again, but it'd be nice if, you know, if I had a chance to spend the night with you.
Right.
You know, adults doing their things. And those are always hard things to hear when you don't want to hear about your mother or father's sex life.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah,
so I was like, okay, let's skip this part.
Like,
this is some nice
here I am, like 48, I still don't want to hear it, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is a nice Miss Saigon moment, I understand, but I'm good with that.
Yeah, just move on to the next part.
Yeah, absolutely. But once he explained it to me, I was good with it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting much
from
this relationship, you know. I was expecting just to learn a little bit, some email correspondence and stuff like that. But man, he called me all the time.
That's awesome.
And he was a Great guy.
Now, how old was he?
70.
Okay, so 70 years old. And I know there's another part to the story, but I want to talk a little bit about. So he's 70 years old. You call, right? He calls now. Do you know, before we go down to the other part of it, do you know, does he have any other siblings? Do you have any stepbrothers?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So I found out that I had a bunch of cousins. I had a brother and a sister.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's a weird story too.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Immediately, my sister was chomping at the bit to call me, and she kept asking me.
The sister from him.
I want to call him, and my dad was kind of keeping everybody at bay.
Yeah.
Like, nope,
yeah.
I'm talking to him.
Right.
They didn't
Let's
want
get
to
this
scare me out of
squared
family.
away
They didn't want to overwhelm me.
Right.
I eventually got to talk to my sister, and then she's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I found out that my brother was having some issues with this.
Yeah, no, that's big news. Yeah.
And my stepmom was actually having some issues.
Okay, so they, even though the uncle kind of warned you a little bit, she did take it hard.
She did, and she just needed time.
Sure.
To process the timeline and
Lots
were we together when this happened? You know, and then once she figured it out, this was
before they met. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a funny story. They broke the news to her, and she was like visibly upset and stuff. She didn't know what to think of it. And then one day she was getting her stuff, getting ready to get in her car and go out to town, and they were like, "Where are you going?" And if anybody that is from the South knows what this means, but she says, "I'm going to Yardage Town. I'm going to get me some blue ribbon." And then everybody knew that it was okay. She accepted it.
Oh, okay.
So in the South, when you want to let everybody know you're having a boy, or
Oh,
you had a boy,
yeah.
you buy blue ribbon, you tie it on your mailbox.
That's cool. So she was getting blue ribbon to acknowledge that she had another kid, or that she accepted you as a boy. That's awesome. And this is from Georgia, you said?
Yes, they live in Rockmart, which is about 45 minutes to an hour northwest of Atlanta.
Wow. Man, that's crazy.
My brother, though, took a little more time.
Yeah. But he's still since come around?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Well, you act like it's been a long time. It hasn't been.
It hasn't been.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So eventually, it's now to this day.
It wasn't until we decided that we were going to take a trip out there and I was going to meet him.
Okay.
And everybody was at my parents' house, and except him.
Okay.
He still wasn't buying into the fact that he had an older brother.
Oh, okay.
He didn't know me.
Right.
And then it wasn't until he started seeing some pictures of everybody posting of me being there.
Right.
And he saw a picture of me standing next to my dad, and he was like, "Holy crap, that's my brother."
That's real. Yeah. So he hopped on a little car and got over there.
Yeah, and me and my siblings are just as tight as my two brothers that I grew up with.
That's awesome. Now, are you, just to bring that back, I forgot to bring that up, you have two brothers from your mom and father, and are they older or younger?
Younger.
Okay, so they were after you then. Okay, cool. So that's pretty interesting.
They were both born in Nashville City.
Yeah, they're locals, legends, right here in Nashville City. Yeah. There you go. Well, we're going to do another shot, and I don't want to dampen the mood, because honestly, I feel like this is a story that, and I think you had mentioned, we'll hit on a little bit more, but CNN picked this story up, and John got to tell, a little bit on a national scale with CNN. We'll hit that next, okay? But let's go into the next one. I think we have another red breast, right?
Yeah, we're going to do another red breast. This one's called Blue Stout.
Okay.
So Blue Stout is a sherry wine from Spain.
Good to know.
And this expression was aged in sherry bottles from Spain. Okay. So you're going to get a lot of sherry.
Good, because I don't know if you ever heard of rabbit. Mm-hmm. That one, I have the sherry soaked cask version of that.
This is very similar. If you like that one, you're going to love this one.
But this is Irish, so it's got to be it's got to be good. Because so far you're 3 for 3 on the Irish whiskeys.
I'm shooting 6 for 6, so
I think you're going to be fine. It does taste a little bit like that one. I mean, smell just like that one.
It has the sherry smell, and then
I'm gonna have to get that one because I'm a huge
wait
fan
until you taste the finish. It's phenomenal.
There you go. Yeah, that is good. Yeah, that's a good one. Now, is that comparable in price to the 12, or is it on the upper scale side?
This one's a little bit more on the upper side.
Okay.
So now we're going to start getting into a little more expensive ones.
Okay.
This one will run you about $100.
Oh, okay. But
Not
it makes
too bad.
sense. I mean, it's not bad, but yeah, I mean, I love that taste. That really, you can taste the sherry. And I don't, cooking sherries, which I always heard as a kid, but it's like to soak wine, whiskey in it is such a great idea.
That's what I love about Irish whiskey. The flavor profiles between the different expressions are phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Scotch guy.
Okay, me neither.
And it's because of the peat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
not a big peat guy.
I'm not a big peat guy.
It is for some people, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I mean,
to each their own.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
Yeah, me either.
There are some peated Irish whiskeys, Connemara, brands like that, which people love.
Right.
People who love Scotch love Connemara.
Yeah.
Because it's peated.
Because it's got that peaty,
that peat taste. But that peat taste is not for me. I love the variety in between all the different Irish whiskeys, and that's what sold me.
Well, we're all different people. I mean, let's be honest. If that was the case, we all wouldn't have different kinds. There wouldn't be Irish whiskey and Scotch and bourbons and stuff like that. I'm a bourbon guy.
Yep.
But honestly, I have to say, this is definitely taking me to a whole new appreciation of Irish whiskey. Scotch, no offense, I'm not a huge fan. Like, unless you give me a Macallan or something that's super expensive, but I'm not going to buy it, but I'll drink it.
Yeah.
I don't ever turn down whiskey, whether it's Scotch or not, if it's free. But I really want to, okay, so we'll fast forward it, and not to skip over the family reunion and the brother and all that good stuff. But we do have about 20 more minutes left, and I want to get into the last part of your story. Sure. But let's get into, so you met your father in Georgia?
Yeah.
And your wife went out there with you, right?
Yes.
So
it was just us two the first time.
Okay, so was it the pre-pandemic, 2019?
It was.
Okay.
Oh, it was
January, February 2020?
Oh, I'm sorry, my timeline is all screwed up.
That's all right, go for it.
I took my DNA test in 2018.
Okay.
2019, so I talked to my father in December 2018.
Okay.
And I went to Georgia in 2019.
In the summer, or?
It was spring.
Okay, spring. Okay. So 2019, you've met him, you talked to him. Now, how did CNN pick this story up, and why did it get legs?
Okay, so
because that happened in 2020 during the pandemic.
This happened during the pandemic. So towards the end of 2019, my uncle, the one I found, who I love dearly,
Sure.
Uncle Wayne.
And you met him there too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We had a family reunion after that, and I met the whole family, and they're awesome. But he's really into Ancestry and DNA testing, and he was on a DNA group on Facebook. Okay. And he had posted our story on there. Okay. And there was a gentleman named Samuel Burke. He was a 4-time, I believe, Emmy award-winning reporter for CNN. Okay. Had read his story, and he contacted him and says, "Hey, this story is amazing. We would love to feature you and John and your family on our CNN podcast called Suddenly Family." Okay, love the name, by the way. Yeah, great. And so he did multiple. This was his thing. He was did reunion shows or Suddenly Family shows. Yeah. Yes, and it's a great series on different aspects of DNA testing. Not all DNA tests end up as good as mine. I was going to say, not all of them have the same results, right? Right, and it's fascinating to hear all the different stories of how people were treated when they found. I was going to ask you, what does that mean? Like, you're just saying not everyone responds the same way? Right. Even though the DNA is there and some people find it, some people don't have the same. Absolutely. There's people that reach out and they find out that they have they found their biological father. They reach out to them, and the biological father wants nothing to do with them. Got it. Okay. And or the vice versa. Or right? Vice versa. Yeah, the biological father finds out he has a kid or something like that, and the kid could have animosity, resentment. Right.
But you were, you're a soft. This guy's a teddy bear. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, he was a hard ass umpire, but he was always behind the scenes. He was still like, my goal is, it's all about the kids. Absolutely. That's what you used to say.
Absolutely.
So I have always appreciated that soft side of your giant, frame. Like you're a big guy, tall, dark and handsome. But I've always appreciated that soft side. So that doesn't surprise me that you just opened up your arms and took on your dad and the whole family,
It was in our DNA. I hate to say that, kind of cliche,
no,
but
it's totally
it really is. And it's funny because when I met them, I'm like, man, they're a bunch of clowns just like me, And my other uncle, Matlock, he's Uncle Wayne, but we call him Uncle Matlock. He's married
from
to
that
the family.
Side,
from that side. He's married to my
Aunt
Jenny. And he calls us a coast to coast family of idiots because we're always joking and.
Now I want to ask you, and I don't want this to be too personal, but I figured it's got to be relevant. People watching are probably like, I need to know. Is he a white guy or?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you are they were interracial then. I mean,
I am.
Okay, and that's big to know because I know that people struggle with that sometimes.
Absolutely.
So I want to bring that up.
Yeah, and man, what a hole or void that filled.
Right.
Right. To know where I came from and where, I had nothing to give my children from my father's side and what their history was.
Sure.
And to be able to tell them that now I have your history all the way to 1770 something, all the way back to England, and you are descendants of the first family of Virginia. Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's like no history to now. You have
tons of history. Yeah, that's very, very cool. Now on your the father, he was also Filipino, the one that raised you.
No.
Okay.
He was from Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
And he met my mother in the Philippines.
Okay. Oh, you met her over there.
Yeah, he was stationed out there.
Oh, so he's also a military guy.
Yeah, he was.
Very
Navy
cool.
as well.
Love it. That's very cool. I mean, we can fast forward, but I wanted to get that because I think that's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's because I wanted to kind of know all that. I didn't get that earlier. Bad interviewer, I guess. At least I brought it full circle. So let's go back to the podcast and the gentleman who reached out, and then you guys.
Sure.
Okay.
So Samuel Burke ended up emailing me and asking me. He said, "Hey, I reached out to your uncle. My uncle already warned me that he'd be contacted."
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he said, "Would you like to do this?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And my main motivation for doing it was thinking that I can't be the only one.
Sure. No, you aren't. I'm sure.
And I know how much I struggled to do this because my first wife brought it up and saying, maybe you want to do it and find your biological father. But at the time, I felt like I would be disrespecting the man that raised me, and I didn't want to do that. And also, there's a fear, of the unknown.
I was going to say,
what if this guy's an a-hole?
Yeah,
exactly. So
that explains a lot too.
Yeah. I know who I am, and I know I didn't get that from my mother.
I'm sitting there giving you all these props, and all of a sudden you're like, what if he's an a-hole?
Yeah.
Well, fortunately he wasn't, so yeah. But I get the fear thing, for sure, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if my story could reach somebody.
That's it.
To inspire them to take the test and find out, good or bad.
Sure.
Because there's some lessons to be learned, even if it's bad.
Yeah, right.
It's just all about framing the perspective of, regardless of what happens, learn from it, grow, and take it for what it's worth. It doesn't have to be. You can turn that negative narrative into something positive.
Sure. Right.
You can take solace in the fact that maybe the person who fathered you wasn't a good person, but you are. And
that's good too. That's a good point. Yeah.
And you're passing those traits on to your kids.
Right. It's you can stop that.
Absolutely.
Whatever it was.
You can
bring it up, and like you said, you were fortunate, to have a good, it just was a circumstance, and I love that part about it. So you did the podcast. I think you mentioned earlier there was a little bit of when was that? During the pandemic, correct?
Correct. We recorded it about in, I believe it was in July.
Okay.
My portion, I think, was in June, and they did my father's portion in July.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil the podcast. I encourage you guys to listen to it.
Sure.
But we did experience some tragedy right after my father passed away, about 3 days after. It might have been within a week.
Okay.
Of recording his portion of it.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Go check out the podcast itself because that's the father. I mean, that's your dad talking. I don't have that. I have this half telling the story, but imagine what that podcast is like. I'm gonna watch it and listen to it for sure. So do you just look up CNN podcast?
If you type in Suddenly Family CNN Philippines, you'll go.
Philippines.
I'm episode 2.
Got it. Oh, okay. So it's under the Philippines, episode 2.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
CNN Philippines, episode 2.
Yeah,
Suddenly Family.
I'm gonna be checking that out on I have all the podcast stuff too, and you're gonna be on a podcast. This is also a podcast, but I want to make sure that we get that out because I want to hear his voice. I want to hear him tell his story. And the fact that you lost him, that's tough.
The most treasured part of the whole experience was to have his voice and having him tell the world what it meant for him to find his son.
And what's cool is it's out there forever now. I mean,
is.
it's on that particular. That's why I do these. So if someone has some kind of form to find 3 generations that they may not have known. It's great to be in a digital age, and the fact that you're able to tell the story here, and then you're able to bring him on and talk to him. I can't wait. I mean, I didn't even know about the CNN thing until I just showed up today, so I'm excited to hear you guys' reunion and your discussion. And even during a pandemic, that's the great thing about technology. So we don't want to glaze over, but I really want to hit the last 5 minutes or so after these next. We're going to do a shot of this one.
This is Jameson 18.
Jameson 18, and then we're going to hit on John's personal, journey for the last couple minutes. Yeah, I mean, it's probably longer than that, but I've been following his story. So we're going to try the Jameson 18, then we're going to go into his, and then we're going to finish with just a shot and close. Really, we're not even going to talk after that last shot. Because I probably won't talk much more. The Irish definitely know how to pour on the whiskey.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the 18.
All right, so the Jameson 18, this one's a little more pricier than the other ones.
Hence the wooden box.
Yes, hence the wooden box and the nice packaging.
Right.
This one will run you about $130.
Okay.
Not too bad, for the quality that you're getting.
Sure.
Everybody's familiar with the normal Jameson that you get. It's about a 4 to 6-year-old, I believe, aged bottle of whiskey. This one has been aged in oak cast barrels for about 18 years. So
unreal.
Now you would expect this to be a little more on the rougher side, but once you take a sip, you're going to be surprised how smooth this is.
That's like butter. That is like butter. I don't know, man. You might have converted me from bourbon. I don't want to create a cardinal sin here, but my God, these are extremely smooth. I've not had one bad one today, and I've had some on my show, but these are extremely smooth. Well, then again, I have a lot of $130 bottles on my show. I'm supporting my entire show, so it's kind of hard. But these are amazing. Well, you said
hopefully this will go back to Ireland, and you'll gain some sponsors from Cork, which is the hometown of a lot of Irish distillers.
Unreal, John. I mean, I'm very, very serious. That is, I could get plastered off that and not know it. Is what I'm saying. Like you're just drinking it and you're like, holy God, I'm gonna be smoked.
And you're drinking these neat. Right?
That's what I'm saying. I told you earlier, the fact that you can drink these neat, it's unreal. I mean, it's so smooth. My God, this one's gonna be. Is this the King Jewel or is this the King Jewel?
This one
This
here.
one's the King Jewel.
Yeah, if you open this one up, it has like the red velvet lighting, and
it's like lights go off. And
this is special. This is Middleton.
Okay.
And
now I've heard of it. I've never. Yeah. We definitely want to get into that. So I want to kind of, and believe me, the DNA stuff. Like I said, that's what I want to really make sure that people go to that interview, really listen to the story. But John, I feel like has his own personal journey because not only all that amazing stuff, but just in the last year, you had something that kind of transformed into a rare, right?
Yeah, very rare. Yeah. So, last year, well, actually, this was at the end of 2019. I was going through all this DNA stuff, meeting my family, all these great things. I had 2019 was one of the best years of my life.
Right.
And then at the end of 2019, well, it was all during 2019. I had a bump growing on my middle finger on my right hand.
Right.
And I didn't think nothing of it. It was sebaceous, kind of soft. So I was thinking it was some kind of pimple popper thing.
That's a thing now, right?
So I was like, it's not a big deal. I'll just take a look at it later, And then it got pretty big. It got to the size of about half the size of a golf ball, maybe.
That's pretty big on your knuckle. Yeah.
Yeah, it looked gross. And I used to tell everybody it was my snail because it was just like
it had like the Gary from Sponge.
Exactly. And so I was like, all right, it's time to do something about this. Go get this thing popped. I went to a dermatologist, and he's like, no, I'm not touching that.
Oh, really?
You're crazy. And I was like, what?
Huh.
And then he was like, you need to go see an orthopedic surgeon. I go, what is it? He goes,
yeah, he did the old I'm not gonna talk. Yeah.
So I ended up getting a VA appointment. I believe it was November of 2019. And I go into the orthopedic surgeon's office, and I'm seeing this guy. He's a resident.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
At the VA hospital.
Sure. Oh.
And he goes, ooh. He goes, you mind if I have somebody look at that? And he goes and he gets the head orthopedic surgeon for the VA hospital.
That's pretty impressive.
He comes in and he looks at it. He's like, oh, cool. He's like, we should find out what that is. He's like, what are you doing today? And I was like, nothing.
I'm here now.
Yeah.
I'm your patient.
And he's all, you want to get that pulled out today? And I was like, sure.
Yeah.
So they yank it out. And I was like, wow, VA is awesome. What service, going for a consultation. I'm prepping me for surgery right there and then. Right?
You're thinking it's cool with this, and like, we really need to get this out of this guy.
So I wasn't thinking anything. Still, at this point, I just think, because I was new to the VA hospital system. I didn't know. I just thought this is how they operate. I was like, how cool is the VA, And then...
makes sense to me.
Yeah. And it took a long time to get the results.
Oh, you're like waiting? Like you're waiting?
Or to get the biopsy results.
Oh, okay.
I go home. And I'm waiting for the biopsy results.
Okay.
And I was like, how long do biopsies usually take? I'm looking on the internet, give me a week or two, Here it is 6 weeks. I haven't heard anything.
And your finger's just stitched, right?
Yeah, it's just stitched.
Yeah, nothing grew.
Nothing.
Okay, got it.
And then I'm getting ready to go back to work. Every year my company shuts down for a couple of weeks at the end of the year. Give everybody some time off, spend with the family. And I'm getting ready to come back in, and they contact me on New Year's Day.
Okay.
And I'm like, whoa, what's
it's a holiday?
Hospital doing contacting me on New Year's Day. So they said, hey, we got the results of your biopsy. We'd like to talk to you about it. Can you come in tomorrow?
Right.
I was like, man, I'm supposed to be at work January 2nd.
Right.
And I was like, okay, sure. Sorry, boss. I know I just had 18 days off, but I got to take tomorrow.
Right.
And but as soon as they told me that, I had a bad feeling. I was like, they want me to come in.
That's weird.
It's kind of weird, and it took a long time to get it. So I go there, and they said they had to send my biopsy to 3 different laboratories because they didn't know what it was. They'd never seen it before. And eventually my sample tissue ended up at Johns Hopkins, and they were able to diagnose it, and it was called myxo-inflammatory fibroblastic sarcoma.
The fact that you remembered, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, well, it's something that...
No, that's a lot of words, yeah.
And I was one of like 420 something people to ever have it. Ever.
Wow.
So they said...
did you guys hear that? 420 people ever. That's insane.
That's how rare of a cancer. You think about how much cancer has been around.
Right. And
so I said, okay, what does that mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me the news. Yeah.
And they said, well, the good thing is it's a very slow metastasizing cancer.
That's good.
Unfortunately, we're gonna have to remove your middle finger. Hi, folks.
Yeah. Really, just straight up, like boom,
Yeah.
like.
And
wow.
they removed my middle finger and the metacarpal to the stub here all the way down, and see the scar in the back.
Yeah. So they took a whole finger out.
Yeah, and
that's wild because I mean, like when I got here, I've seen it obviously on Facebook and everything you post. But it's wild, like, I mean, it seems like, luckily it's not the thumb, because that's a big deal.
Yes.
Right? Like,
that is debilitating.
That's the big, yeah, right. The fact that you're just smooth, and you're just chilling with the four fingers.
Ride by motorcycle.
That's right, you still, and so, so you lost a finger, and it didn't spread anywhere. Did you have to go through chemo and all that good stuff, or just on your hand or your body?
So, when they took my finger out, they had to send that for biopsy.
Okay.
And the reason why they do that is because they want to make sure that they got it all and they had good margins around the cancer site, and that so that they would feel pretty comfortable that they got the whole thing.
Right.
Well, when we got the biopsy results, they said, unfortunately, we found cancer cells to the extremities of the amputation part, so we're going to have to do some radiation.
Okay.
Okay, so I went through 8 weeks of radiation treatment.
Like you're normal, like the whole body?
No, just a hand.
Okay.
And they had me in the machine laying like Superman. I had my hand out there, and they would zap my hand. And I got some pretty gnarly exit dosage, and this pretty much my whole palm was peeling and blistering from the exit dosage of the radiation.
Wow.
Still dealing with it today because of the radiation. Not only did it kill the cancer cells, which is good, right? It's been a year and no signs of cancer returning.
Okay.
But it killed all my bone cells too.
Oh,
so my hand is currently broken.
Right.
It's been broken since October.
Right.
It's been 20 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not going to heal. And we're going to have to do some bone grafts to inject some healthy bone cells in there to try to stimulate growth back into those bones.
Okay.
But man, I'm alive.
Yeah.
You know.
And they caught it.
They caught it early.
Because it could have went other places for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's the key, right?
Yeah.
Don't take anything for granted. You notice anything unusual, especially guys our age.
Yeah. Right.
You know.
Yeah. If there's anything out of the ordinary, go to the doctor.
Yeah. You gotta swallow that ego.
Yeah.
I was one of those guys that.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy going to the doctor.
Yeah, no, I got you. I mean, who wants to get probed at 50?
Yeah, absolutely.
Next year, you and I, bro, we're not feeling the love with the prognosis.
I just hope they put me out for that.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I did the endoscopy.
I love sedation.
What's what's the other endoscopy? Or no, I did the one through the mouth.
Endoscopy.
Yeah, and what's the other one?
Colonoscopy.
Oh yeah, that's where I'm like. I don't even like going under, let alone,
Well, they don't put you under for colonoscopies.
Oh.
You're awake for that.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Enjoy that.
Can't wait for that. Okay, so we're going to do a shot. We're going to finish up. We're going to do the Middleton. I'm excited. And then we're going to peace out to you guys and John and his time and his $300 bottle of Middleton.
Close. So this is a 2019
oh my God,
Middleton.
Say
very rare.
Okay.
No. So every year Middleton comes out with a special blend.
Okay.
I'm behind. I need the 2020. So if you guys see it out there, let me know.
Your 2020 was busy.
Yes. Yeah. This is the 2019. This one will run you about $260.
Okay. You just give me a sniff then. There you go.
Just take a drink.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't want to cut into your $260 bottle. Well, is this going to bite or is this going to be smooth?
I'm going to let you tell me because now this is a blend.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, it is?
Yes. Okay. And I've been told the 2019, I believe, has some 30-year-old whiskeys.
In it? Okay.
So.
Is Middleton always a blend? Or just
the very rare?
Okay.
Is.
Got it.
Right? So.
Okay.
Fantastic fruit nose on this, right? And then if you give your glass a little swirl.
I've been swirling it the whole time since you poured it.
And then look at the legs on that thing. It's a full-bodied whiskey.
I'm excited. What's the proof on it?
I believe it's 80.
Oh, okay. So these are
all around.
Yeah, these are all around 80. Okay.
Yeah,
and
these
these
are
are
all
bourbons that are usually extremely strong. These are just better flavors. Yeah.
So what do you think of that one?
That was insane. It was actually better than the other one, the Jameson 18, which is weird.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was tight. I mean, that was really good.
Fantastic.
Still, like unreal. Like nothing.
6 for 6.
6 for 6, dude. You knocked it out of the park with these whiskeys. And he put a couple back. I think he was like cast strength. He's like, that one's up. That cast strength gets up in the alcohol content.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I drink neat, but I prefer it with a few drops.
Oh,
of water.
okay. Just to break
And
it
then
up.
I had a Red Breast 15. And there's another one. If you guys are interested in exploring more Irish whiskeys, I would recommend Powers John Lane.
Okay.
Funny story about that. My name's John.
Right.
Guess what my biological name is?
Lane.
So that's a great whiskey. And then Rider's Tears, I love too. Little trick that you can do if you find a bottle of whiskey that you don't like.
Right.
Ginger whiskeys are a great mixer drink. Ginger ale and whiskey.
Oh yeah.
So mix those two together with some of the ones that you don't like.
Yeah. I'm a big ginger beer and whiskey guy. Like
ginger beer and
whiskey.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Those
That's
work,
awesome.
too.
Well, I want to just thank John for being a guest. His story, like we've had tons of stories, and none are the same.
Right.
I mean, whether it's success, they all have struggles, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've not had anyone on here, with your story. And I love the Irish whiskey, and this is a unique episode for sure. So we'll send the link on there. I'm sure you guys have already seen it because you'll read it already about the CNN interview. That'll be on there. Check it out, like, subscribe. You guys keep following. The interviews get just better and better, and the people are just amazing. So check out all my interviews, and thank you so much, John. Appreciate it. Peace. I've already drank mine.
Cheers.